Dad, today's the main dish. I'm really looking forward to this. What do you got going for us today?
Well, today we're going to take the same breast meat that you had offered to me with our salad. We use in the salad service. And once again, so it's a half of a breast from a turkey, tenderloin still intact, but there's some cruddy stuff on it, right? We've got some silver skin and some fascia. I can never pronounce that medical term. Maybe Mr. Stankowski knows, but
that's the Polish in us.
Yes. And we're going to take this breast and we're going to cut it into scallopinis, or really thin slices. And we're going to pound them out with a meat tenderizer or a hammer. We're going to do that between some parchment paper and some saran. And we're going to pound them paper thin. So look at, we're using this Rapala fillet knife. All the fancy blades they sell us in this industry. And sometimes I think we're better off going to Fleet Farm and buying a $7.99 Rapala wooden handle fillet knife. Now you'll see that there's meat that's on there that you might say that's wasteful. Well, it doesn't have to be. You could take all that meat and you could do several things with it. You could grind it to make ground turkey. You could take it and boil it off and throw it in a stock, or throw it in the soup that we made. You can use all the trim pieces can be used for soup. So don't discard this because you're trimming this up. Keep it. Find another use for it. Nothing else. I bet there's a dog or two that would love to eat some cooked turkey meat. When we're preparing scallopinis, we have to make sure that the meat is at first and foremost cut the right way. So we're going to cut the meat so that when we pound it out, we're pounding it out with the grain. So I'm going to kind of look, and I see the muscle fibers are kind of going like this. So I'm going to cut perpendicular to the muscle fibers. Okay, so you've got several strips. We're going to lay them out on saran. Then I've got two strong boys over here that have a hammer in their hand, a blunt-ended hammer. We're going to put some parchment now on top of the scallopinis, and wherever Chef Cade sees this guy, he's going to take the hammer, he's going to gently pound it flat, okay? Very, very good job. Looks like you've done a really nice job, Cade. So now when we pull them back, you can see they're paper thin, right? We're going to get back to these in a little bit. We're going to dip them in a little bit of flour, then egg wash and breading, and that'll be the protein, the base protein for our turkey breast Martinique. I now have Chef Austin and Chef Cade here. They're going to do the breading of the scallopinis that we've prepped for our Martinique, our main entree that's going to be prepped in just a bit. So when we do this, we're going to go three different bins we have to go from. We're going to go from flour to egg to cornmeal breading. So Austin, or Cade's going to start first. He's going to take, with clean hands that he's sanitized, I'm sure he did, he's going to take these guys one at a time. They're going to be real delicate. They're very thin. You're going to take them and dredge them in flour. Try to keep them flat if you can, right? Then you're going to dip it in the egg wash. And egg wash can be made with water or milk, but it's the whole egg that's beaten, kind of like you're making scrambled eggs at home. And you can add a little bit of water or a little bit of milk. We use milk in ours. And I would say for every 6 eggs, you would use about just a quarter of a cup of milk. So I've gone from the flour, shaken off the excess flour, dipped it in the egg wash, and then rolled it in this cornmeal breading. In the end, we have a product that looks like that. So have at it, guys.
Austin, hurry up. Deliciousness doesn't come quick, Kate. It does.
Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the medallions that the boys have so diligently prepared for me, the scallopinis, and we're going to saute them and make them the dish that we're calling a turkey breast Martinique. I'm going to start with a saute pan. Everything's going to be done on stovetop. We just use a pomace olive oil. You can use virgin olive oil. And we're just getting enough to cover the bottom of the pan. We're going to bring it up to a temperature that's going to allow us to brown the medallions, but not burn that breading. So medium to medium high heat. We're going to take the scallopinis that the boys worked hard on. They're thin strips, okay? We're going to see if our oil is ready. It's not quite ready. We'll wait till it bubbles a little bit. I can test it several ways. I can take a little piece of breading, see if I get it to bubble like that. You know your heat's good now, okay? Then what we have here, I'm a mushroom picker. One of the mushrooms we pick in the woods in Wisconsin is called a honey mushroom. The honey mushroom, to get it to where you know that it's safe and it doesn't compromise the flavors, when we pick them, we'll trim them back and we actually boil them. And we'll boil them with a little bit of salt in the water, sometimes some flat leaf parsley, drain them, take off any debris, dirt, things like that, strain them, and then we'll freeze them. So these have been frozen. These were harvested last fall. We're shooting in the spring, so this is a fall honey mushroom. Once we feel an edge is browned, we're going to turn it. So I've got the scallopinis cooking in the olive oil. We've browned one side fairly well. We're going to add some mushrooms. I probably have enough for 2 people here, so I'm probably going to put maybe a couple of these mushrooms in this saute. I'm just going to add them in and around. We process our own garlic. It's in a little bit of olive oil to keep it. So I'm going to put, in this dish, I'm going to put about a teaspoon of fresh garlic. I'm going to add some scallion. I'm going to add about a quarter of a cup of scallion, or green onion, spring onion. In the end, what we're going to do with all the pan drippings that are in the pan now, we're going to deglaze them. We're going to use I thought it'd be appropriate for us to use a bourbon to make a bourbon pan sauce. Pan sauce literally means we're going to deglaze the pan, cook off the bottom of the pans, incorporate any bits of food that are in there, and get those flavors to work. And then we're going to, we need it to go from the deglazed product to something that's a sauce. We might add a little bit of stock, and then we might even add some roux to thicken it. We'll see where we go. I'm going to add some fresh black pepper. I would be generous with pepper with wild game. Now we're going to deglaze our pan. So when the alcohol cooks away, there's no, your kids can eat it. That's what we're doing. That's what the flame is caused by. So we're cooking away all the alcohol, but getting the flavor of that very well-crafted bourbon, and if we're choosing wild turkey for this now. This is our turkey stock that we had going from earlier. We're going to add a little bit of that broth to the water. I'm going to take a little kosher salt at the end. Got some kosher salt here. There's a cheese that I've been using the past couple months in my restaurant. It's a Wisconsin-made cheese. It's called Mauvais, and Mauvais cheese is sheep's milk and goat's milk cheese pressed together in a common loaf with a grapevine ash divider. So you've got a soft, creamy cheese and a hard, almost like Parmesan, nutty type cheese. 2 different flavors in one cheese. We're going to put these slices of this Mauvais cheese on top of our medallions. We're going to move the honey mushrooms away. Our pan's a little overcrowded, but we'll get by. We're going to take the slices and we're going to try to break them, the pieces that'll fit on top of our medallions. Since I want both cheeses to be flavored on each medallion, I'm breaking them that way. We're going to take this entire pan, heat off, and we're going to finish it in our oven. We're going to stick the whole thing in our oven, and we will let it cook in that oven, maybe at about 400 degrees. Just enough to melt the cheese. So maybe about 10 minutes, 5 minutes is all it's going to take. Fork tender, great flavor, and that's a hit. I'll let people out there know that this comes as more of a passion than it does as a tool. I do this as self-serving. I'm a hunter as well in the sports, so that's how I learn most of my recipes. Then I tweak them with the real world knows. And one of the ways you can get that here, there are wild game feeds that I do. I can only do them as fundraisers. So you may be attached to a Turkey Federation banquet, it might be to a rough grouse banquet, but you see them in and around. You see a Chef Thad's wild game feed for 8. That's the kind of food I'll prepare for you on that night. And I can tell you they're a world of fun, and they're always for a good cause. If you can't do that, cook it at home. It'll take you places. Thank you.